I'm Eli Cairo, and I'm a sausage expert. And I just hear the music.
Kielbasa!
Bratwurst, pretty much the quintessential grilling summertime sausage. It's also kind of the base for all sausage makers. If you're gonna call yourself a sausage maker, you better make yourself a damn fine bratwurst. Usually, if you're buying an unpoached sausage, right away you can assume that that one's going to be a little bit cheaper, because in the cooking process you'll actually lose a little bit of fat and grease, and so everything you lose from a sausage maker or a butcher counter, you do charge at the end of the day. So this one sometimes tends to be cheaper, but you'll lose that weight in your pan or on your grill when you're cooking it at home. So there's multiple techniques to making a bratwurst. It's kind of hard to tell right now what the technique was used, except in the raw one. This one definitely looks a little bit more coarser. You can see when you're seeing the variation between the lean meat, which is the red, and the fat, the white, that this one's probably done through a grinder and done relatively coarse. And this one here, even as tricky until we cook it up, it does look like it's emulsified. When I say emulsification in sausage making, it's what we refer to as pretty much making a giant meat mayonnaise. We take lean meat and we put it inside of a big chopper, or we refer to them as a bowl chopper, and you run it around and you make a myosin bind, so it turns into this big continual protein bind. Just like when you're making mayonnaise with your egg yolks, you whip those up and then you slowly but surely start folding fat back into it. When the fat breaks into smaller particles, it gets encased by the lean meat, so when you poach it, it stays inside of the sausage, and it's all about your technique. They both look like they're pretty quality made sausages. I'm excited to get these hot and to taste them. They both look pretty delicious. When I look at a sausage, and most sausage makers look at a sausage, what you're looking for is to see if the casing shriveled right away. What happens is when you have a really good emulsification, the sausage should plump up in the casing when it heats up. These ones here, they kind of shrunk down on themselves, meaning that the emulsification didn't have enough spring to it. And what you also can do is to see if it's well made is you squeeze it, and if the grease goes out but then comes back in and doesn't necessarily run at it, that means that that myosin actually bound that sausage, so when you cooked it, not all the grease came out of it, it's still supported. So that's looks like it's a pretty well-made sausage, but I'll be able to taste it for sure. That's a very, very delicious, well-made bratwurst. Spices aren't too over the top. This one also, I would assume, has milk powder in it because it's really, really moist when you bite into it, but not greasy. It's really, really well made. I think that's a pretty high quality sausage. And sausage B here, you can see is a little bit more coarser of a sausage, as we say, because you can see there's big flex between the difference. One thing of alarm that might see that's not perfectly made, you can see it's kind of crumbling, so that most of the fat in the middle of the sausage during the emulsification was trying to escape to the outside, and so the casing kind of came off. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. I'll be able to tell much more. That's actually a pretty darn good bratwurst too, though. I actually like the texture, definitely coarser, but that is a darn fine sausage, and I kind of enjoy that. It's definitely like the more classic sausage that you would buy your whole life in America and throw on your grill and enjoy. This is probably a little bit more of the sausage that you buy at your German deli. One thing that I would like to see is just to see if you could taste the difference in quality of casing. Let me take a bite out of it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that casing was nice and tender. The ones that are a little bit more harder and chewy, you could run much faster through your sausage machine. So if you wanted to pump out a couple hundred a minute, you would purchase a more, stretchy or robust casing. Let's take a bite out of this and see. It's definitely more broken, and that's what I was saying in the emulsification. So part of it's chewy, and then there's kind of like a greasy kind of mess in your mouth. It just means it's just a little bit more rustic of a sausage. Judging by the full emulsification on this one, not getting much sinew in my teeth, the real spices, and the fact that it used milk powder, I'm gonna assume that this one's a little bit more expensive. This one, the coarse grind, the tougher casing, a little bit of sinew. I'm gonna assume that this one is the more expensive. So sausage A is the more expensive sausage, and if not, I'm out of here. Right? Yeah, by a lot. By like a lot. Good. Both sausage A and B are awesome sausage. This is definitely, you know, a little bit more technically sound and more overall enjoyable sausage, but sausage B is, you know, a little bit more nostalgic, the sausage that you've enjoyed your entire life. So they're both great sausages. Blood sausage. I love blood sausage because it's the ultimate example of utilizing the entire animal. Of course, we use all the steaks and the trim and the fat, but to actually use the blood of the animal really goes to show that you're actually using every piece of that animal for something. The blood itself has an amazing irony flavor, and that's the majority of the reason why we use it. You know, in South America, they make blood sausages with pumpkins in them. In Africa, also with squashes in them. The tricky thing about blood sausage is it's almost impossible to stabilize blood, and so it has to be made right away. It's an entire different art of sausage making, and super challenging and really, really delicious if you nail it. This casing is kind of interesting to me because it's so black and so shiny to me. Yeah, I think it must be cellulose or possibly a collagen casing on there. It has definitely smoked paprika on it, which is already an expensive ingredient. Also, might not only be the smoked paprika that's in that product. This one could have been left out over oak and actually smoked. Really, really delicious. That thing smells absolutely amazing. This one, however, yeah, it's also still a little soft, which could mean that it was fresh. It isn't a natural casing, which is a giant challenge to actually get stuffed into. One thing you can tell from tasting the blood sausage is you do fold a little bit of fat into it. And if this is what I'm guessing it is, which I think it's an Iberico morcilla from Spain, you'll be able to tell from the fat. And again, you're not seeing a lot of rice or barley or potatoes. You're only seeing one little speck, which actually looks like it's pure fat. So this one could be a lot of delicious pig blood. This one, yeah, it's just, yeah. It smells very oniony, which means this one may have just more ingredients folded into it to stretch it out. For those reasons right there, I'm going to assume that A is the more expensive product. It's definitely smoked, has very little filler to it, and it's just a beautiful, dark-looking blood sausage. Very excited to try. Awesome blood sausages. It's making me think again that this one is the little bit more expensive product because that much blood, that much technique to get that in there without seeing all the filler. That's a well-made product for sure. I'm definitely going to start with this one because I can hardly wait and see. Oh yeah. And there's amazing texture. It gets almost sticky, and then that flavor of iron. Got smoked paprika in there. Very subtle, not too much crazy. And again, it's definitely, no doubt about it, Iberico pork. Oh my God, I'm gonna come back to you. And then this one also looks really, really good. But yeah, I'm gonna probably pull the casing off of that just to actually try. That one is a natural casing, it just looks a little chewy. But yeah. It's really delicious, but you can definitely taste more ingredients. You don't right away taste the blood flavor. There's more pork, actual pork in there. There's also onions that aren't perfectly cooked, so it's kind of crunchy, which means it might not be made the best quality. That's a delicious blood sausage, but when I consume blood sausage, I really want it to taste like blood. And I mean, this is a really great product. In my guess, this one is definitely a Iberico pork, which is a black pig from Spain that is a protected animal that has a DOP, a designation of origin of product. To receive that, it has to be made from a certain pig in a certain way, which is out on beautiful farms underneath gigantic old oak trees, and they're spending a good part of their life just consuming acorns and living the good life. You see a DOP, it's probably worth the upgrade. I'll be really disappointed if this isn't the more expensive one. Anyways, I think this is about 3 times more expensive than this product. You ready for this? $2.07 an ounce for sausage A, and 86 cents an ounce for sausage B. Worth every penny. Both of them are great sausages. I would absolutely eat these any time of the week, but sausage A is just, yeah, it's a real special sausage, and for a sausage nerd like myself, a special treat. Veggie sausages. I guess it goes to show that Epicurious does have a sense of humor. I have never made a veggie dog, and I don't think I've ever consumed a vegetable sausage. But obviously there's a big need for these sausages. If you're, a vegetarian or off meat for whatever dietary reason, and you still want to enjoy grilling sausages out back, I mean, I'm all for it. We're really gonna have to go through this together. We're gonna dive into these things. We'll start with A, this one here. This thing is crazy. Also cool. It definitely kind of feels like raw meat. There's some kind of casing on the outside that's, I'm not sure what that is. It's kind of cool. I'm gonna get into this thing because I have no clue what's going on here. I mean, that looks so meaty. But it definitely, it smells a little more like a health food store, is what I'd say. I don't know, kind of like a health food store smells like, I don't know, nuts and barley. I don't know, craziness. Anyways, this one, sausage B, cooked, I assume. Definitely more Play-Doh-like-ish. Oh yeah, that one smells more like beans. This is gonna be brutal. If I had to go about making veggie sausage, I would take, a real ingredient, maybe white beans or chickpeas, maybe find a rice flour or some kind of starch to make sure it binds in there. Then I would season it. I'm so out of my element here. I don't know. To me, strangely enough, this one looks a little more appetizing. This one's a little, I don't know, what do you guys think? It's gray. We're gonna heat them up, we're gonna taste them, and I hope my mind is blown with flavor because it's crazy. They actually look really more appetizing than they did raw. When they heated them up, they browned up nicely. The sausage A looks like the grill marks might have made this cool little crunchy texture on the outside. Gotta squeeze A real quick. Oh, it firmed up just like a good sausage. That's cool. I mean, it does look appetizing. I would happily eat that. This one too, it was all gray, and now that it's all grilled up, it actually looks pretty appetizing. It's brown, it's got cool marks on it. I'm not sure. I'm gonna just have to taste it and see what that tastes like. I don't even know what that is. It's not offensive at all, but it definitely also tastes like a health food store. What is that? It's seasoned well. It's got good salt to it, and to me, it's just confusing. I don't know what it is, but it tastes like pureed soup. I don't know what's going on here. I mean, I'm not gonna eat a lot of it. That's something. Let's try the next one. Veggie sausage B here. Yeah, no, that whole texture, that whole flavor is just not made for me. To me, I can't taste garlic and real ingredient. I can't even tell what the herb is. That's just not my jam right there. All said and done, I do think that if I were missing meat and sausage, I would actually crave and enjoy sausage A. For all of those reasons, the fact that it's just got some cool science in it, it looks like meat. I couldn't pinpoint exact spices or seasoning or proteins in it, but it has flavor in it. And it actually has a good texture. I'm gonna go ahead and say that sausage A is the more expensive one. That was close too, but I did it. Sign me up. It's a veggie sausage expert. Sausage A 64 cents an ounce and sausage B 25 cents an ounce. I don't mean to hate on this by any means. If this is filling a niche and somebody finds it absolutely delicious, I'm all for it. This is a better way to get protein into people that need protein's hand. I am all behind it, and I'm actually really happy that somebody's taking the time, effort, and care to make a delicious product out of it. Chicken sausage, you can imagine, I love chicken sausage too. So both of these look like they are casing free. That means they probably stuffed them into a cellulose or a collagen casing, cooked them, smoked them, poached them, whatever it is, and then stripped them off. If these were cased in a natural casing, they wouldn't be quite as round. If you look at sausage B here, they're almost exactly to a T, the exact same sausage. Sausage A, the same. They're really, really similar, almost to flaw, but they do look like they're nicely well-made sausages. This one, you can tell from the pale color, may not be smoked and is probably just steamed. This may have smoke on the outside of it, but again, that is also a little too uniform, so it might be a tell that it is a little bit of liquid smoke, not actually smoked over real wood. And I'm hungry for chicken sausage, so let's do this. Well, they smell amazing. You know, looking at them right away, you can tell that we were right on the casing. Both smell pretty good. They both crisped up pretty even, not too greasy. Start at sausage A. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll give it a little squeeze there. You know, definitely, I don't know if you can see that, but it's real lean, very little fats coming out of it. But yeah, we're gonna have to give it a taste to see. You know, not a whole lot going on there. Definitely apple and definitely sugar, possibly maple. I also just noticed that it's probably a low sodium chicken sausage as well. Refreshing, but it's still just lacking like the actual flavor and deliciousness of a real sausage. Let's try this one again. When you squeeze it, it's got a little bit more coarser. You can see there's actual chunks of meat inside of there, so a little bit more coarser. But that one actually is moist, has nice texture, really actually a good mouthfeel to it. It actually has really good flavor. That would be great off of the grill, and if you're not eating pork, that's a really delicious sausage. Yeah. This one's a leaner sausage, low sodium. This one is definitely a more enjoyable sausage. Yeah, this one's gonna be a little bit tricky because, you know, chicken sausage is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I'm gonna go with my gut on this one, and sausage B is definitely the more delicious sausage. It has the smoke on the outside. I really hope I'm right here. Let's see what I'm doing. 75 cents. Oh, that one's close. I keep my job. Sausage A is 33 cents an ounce and sausage B is 75 cents an ounce. Those are pretty close. You know, the price of the proteins are always relatively low for a chicken sausage. Skinless, boneless chicken breast is the #1 selling protein out of most deli cases in America. And that chicken has a lot of other parts on it. And so if you're selling mostly chicken breasts, no matter how great that animal is raised, you have a lot of byproduct that you sell into the sausage industry. One thing people should look at when they're purchasing chicken sausages is to make sure that it has the USDA organic label on the outside. That'll say that the chicken had a better life and will be raised a more delicious and better chicken. Kielbasa, but traditionally a Polish sausage. One of my favorite all-time sausages because it has two of my favorite things in it. It has a lot of fat and it's also traditionally smoked pretty hard. In the original ways, it could be pretty much any type of meat ranging from pork all the way up into horse, as long as it had about 50% fat in it and was smoked hard and had a little bit of sweetness and garlic and other spices, it was kind of falling under the blanket of kielbasa. As you can see, it has the more unique horseshoe shape in it. It's because when we're producing these, we produce them a little bit longer and we like to just loop them over a smoke stick. So imagine a smoke stick coming through here and you loop the first one and then the second one you'd loop over and a bunch of these continue and you smoke it like that. And then you go back and you cut them up and then they have the traditional kielbasa shape. A, from a smoke perspective, looks almost as a little too uniform to make me think that this was actually smoked over real applewood. And of course, if you smell it, yeah, it's pretty good. It smells great, but it definitely smells a little burnt, and that's a for sure way to tell that if it's a liquid smoke, is that it actually smells a little bit like it was on fire for a second, as opposed to like delicious smoke coming off of an applewood or something. If you wanted to smoke something natural over applewood, it takes 2 to 3 hours to even get the flavor inside of it. Liquid smoke is a much quicker, much cheaper, and actually just a way to make it more consistent. A lot of people like consistency. Sausage B, you can see, is, again, to go back to the casings, it's a natural casing as well as this one, but it has you know, a little bit more of a lighter smoke. You can see that smoke actually had a little drip off of the bottom. And when I smell it, yeah, see, it smells instantly like if you've ever put wood chips on your grill and you had that beautiful perfume of apple wood that comes out, or if you use hickory and it's a little bitter, you'll want to eat it and you kind of crave it instantly. We're getting fire, folks. Right now, before I try them, I feel pretty comfortable saying that sausage A is, you know, a little bit more mass-produced. They definitely probably put some kind of additives in there besides like milk powder. It's definitely more red, meaning that that's definitely a nitrated product. This one does have a little bit of hue to it, but may not have as much nitrate. A little bit of nitrate will instantly kill botulism, a very dangerous pathogen that can be found in sausages. When sausage B here, you can see when you squeeze it, it's got nice texture, but it's still holding on to its grease in a good way. And without a doubt, it just smells more appetizing. Like when you smell it, my mouth waters. I really just want to take a bite out of it, so I'm gonna. And that's when I'm looking for a kielbasa, as we said, it's supposed to be decadent. It's supposed to be like full of garlic, full of fat. I want it to fill my entire mouth full of smoke and really decadent. Like, this is even a sausage for me. Like, there's so much fat in there. I'm not gonna eat this whole one in one sitting. This is probably gonna feed me and 3 of my friends, but it's really, really good. And I'll try sausage A now. We'll see what's going on here. Nothing really pops out. Like, it doesn't smell like garlic or mustard. It just kind of smells like, again, smoke and whatnot. It's got kind of like a awesome hot bologna kind of flavor or texture to it. There is garlic in it, definitely dried garlic. So the thing that I noticed right away is the texture. It's rubbery. It also has a real strong celery flavor to it, and it's not as greasy and as moist as I would like to have like a real kielbasa. Right now, I think that sausage A is still an awesome kielbasa. It's actually got a cool texture to it, smells like smoke, but I just think it's probably a little bit more, you know, industrially made. Sausage B has got to be the more expensive product just because of the real ingredients in it. Even if this is the cheaper one, I'd still buy it 10 to 1. This thing's amazing. That's good. Let's see. Sausage A, 28 cents an ounce. Sausage B, $1.25 an ounce. Again, that just goes back to, I'm assuming all the real ingredient, but this one I would assume also has other additives in it to make sure that it kept all of its, you know, didn't shrink in cooking, and they could have put more or less any kind of filler inside of there to make sure they get more bang out of their protein for sure. There's a bunch of sausages we didn't get to explore. Go to your butcher, ask him what he's excited about, go home, throw them on your grill, and just explore. There's a lot of fun to be having out there with different types of sausages, and choose your own adventure in sausage grilling.